give it at least 24 hours to fully dry. This is not totally dry, which is why now I'm going to work tomorrow looking like I murdered somebody. Hello, puppet friends. We are going to do a quick YouTube video, like super fast, on how to dye fur. I use this process with any of my puppets if I want them to have a pink mohawk or something like that, but it's also great for cosplay, costuming, anything like that. The dye that I'm using is a powder dye. This is, I'm gonna probably butcher the name, but Procyon MX dye. I got it on Amazon. It's about $30 for 8 colors. You just mix it with cold water. It's listed as a cold water dye for natural fabrics, but it does work on synthetic fabrics as well. So you'll need the powder dye. I will link the Amazon purchase in the description for you. Some paintbrushes, one for each color. I just use the cheap stuff from Amazon. A plastic spoon to scoop some water, and a teeny tiny little spoon. I get these for glitter sometimes, to scoop little amounts of glitter out. You can use either side. There's a flat side and a little spoon, a paint palette, and a piece of fur. So when I do my cosplay costumes, if something needs to be colored or something like that, you can use any of these colors, mix the powders, add a little bit of water, and then add the color to the fur. So we are going to start with the colors. I have a bright green, I have turquoise, I have yellow, lemon yellow, I have medium blue, I have jet black, which I'm not going to use today because it does dye very, very well, and I don't need black in white fur, brilliant orange, and fuchsia, and fire engine red. So I'm thinking we'll just do a Roy G. Biv and do red, orange, yellow, green. Ooh, let's do turquoise, then blue, then fuchsia. You'll also need a wide tooth comb to comb out the color once it dries. The color tends to not seep into the backing of the fur very well, but how often do you see the backing? And I only want just light color on the front to kind of make an ombre look. So this is just a small piece of fur, but you can do it on as big as you want, depending on how big you want it, I guess. And we are going to split this fur a little bit, and I'll show you the nap of the fur. I always do it because I'm right-handed. I always go from right to left. We'll color what we want in the fur, and then I will put a piece of foil over the top of it to cover that color while I'm doing the color above it. So with starting super dark, that should be interesting, but let's try it. I've never done an ombre before. So what I'm going to do is just add the powder here to my paint palette. I'm just going to go right around in a circle. These are brand new, so they're probably sealed on top. Yep, they sure are. It's like I know stuff. And we're just going to take that little bit of red powder, and you really don't need a lot. I mean, we're just doing a little bit. So we're going to do a little bit of fire engine red here. Just so you know, you will not want to mix your powders. So I have a little piece of fabrics that I keep everywhere, and I just wipe it off so I don't mix them up. So let me open the orange here, not over my fur in case I drop some. I'm gonna open that up, do a bit of orange right here. I don't know if you can see how small these are in the palette, but it's really not a lot. Let me wipe off my spoon. And we'll do yellow. Careful when you're opening these too, because they're, with them being powders, they kind of go poof, and you don't want fabric dye all over the place. Tiny bit of yellow. Put the lid on that. Wipe the spoon off. We'll do green. Ooh, it's like a lime green. Kind of ugly, if you ask me. This is great for cosplays, for costuming. I'm working on a new cosplay right now from Star Wars, and the fur that I need, I can't find anywhere since Joann closed. Only Hobby Lobby carries the kind of fur that I need, and it is not in the correct color. So this will be the process that I take in order to get the fur the color that I need. This is also really nice too because it is for natural fibers, but it does work on synthetic as well. It is washproof and it does not come off on white clothing or anything else once it's fully dry. If you do wash it with soap and water, a little bit of the color will come out naturally, but not anything too crazy. So this is the blue here. And the fuchsia. Even though it looks black, but it's not. So we are going to add just a little tiny bit of water to each one of these and stir them up. I'll show you the best way to stir these up without having to wipe off your spoon every time, but I did not grab it. And that's toothpicks. So we're gonna put just a little bit of water into each one. I just use a plastic spoon. Ooh, look at that beautiful color. Oh, and I have a piece of hair on my spoon. Okay, let's not get crazy here, people. Just a little tiny bit in each one, and I'll show you how beautiful this ends up being. Here's the turquoise. Ooh, that is a pretty color right there. Of course, the more powder you put in, the heavier the color is going to be. But you can also mix colors. So that's really cool that we can do something like that with just a powdered dye, you know. So we're just going to mix up these colors here. Try to get them as clean as possible, no clumps or anything. That's good. You can also use just your paintbrush to stir these up, but I find that it's easier to use a toothpick for these small amounts. If you're doing a big amount, you can use a popsicle stick or something, and obviously not use a paint palette. You would use cups or things like that. But these are pretty heavily colored dyes, and they work really great. You of course want to use a different brush for every single color so that you don't end up mixing them unless that's something you want to do. But if you start dipping your brush in one, like yellow, and then in red and back in yellow, obviously it's going to turn orange. So let's try. Ooh, a little dust of yellow got into the green. That's okay. We'll work with it. Green. Here's the blue. Ooh, that is such a pretty blue. And, oh, I'm sorry, that was turquoise. This is the blue, which almost looks black. And the fuchsia looks fire engine red. So I don't know. The red and the fuchsia look almost the same. It's very bizarre how that worked out. And that's the fuchsia. So we're going to move this off to the side. I am going to put a piece of foil down, both for my bottom layer and to protect my work surface. And we are going to start with the darkest color first, and if we want red at the top, we're going to start with the purple at the bottom. So I just lay my fur across right here. I divide it as to kind of where I want the color to go, and then I just pull this back like so. And we're going to take that comb, and just to make sure we have the seam that we want, I'm going to do it like that. Then we're going to take this brush. Make sure that when you're pulling the brush over your project, you don't pull it into the other colors. And then it's going to go on pretty dark. So we're going to just paint that purple on right up to the seam. You can use a little bit bigger brush, might be a little easier. I'm using a small one so that you can see what I'm doing, but a bigger brush obviously would be faster. But we're really gonna just get that color in there. And what I like is to have just a little bit of the natural color show through, just to make it really kind of a soft transition. But I do like to make it darker up towards the roots. And then you want to separate those hairs. I mean, we're going to comb this out afterwards, so it's okay to have the hair kind of get messy, because we will comb it out. Does anybody else feel like they're doing somebody's highlights or something? It's pretty much exactly how they do it in real people hair. Puppets are real people too, though. Okay, so I'm getting the color on there really well. I don't know if you can see that, but that is a beautiful kind of maroon color that went on really, really well. Like fuchsia color. What I do too, another little tip of the trade or whatever, is I will lay my brush across it when I fold this over, not only to protect the hair, but also to keep the brush as I know which color it is, because sometimes they can seem really dark. So we're just gonna press that down. That's also gonna push the color into the backing a little bit. Now we're gonna take another section here, just like we're doing hair. Be careful not to pull that fur out of your foil, because we don't wanna mix. I'm just gonna take a chunk, just a random chunk here. Just like that. This is going to be the dark blue, and it's okay if they mix a little bit. I mean, this will be one of a kind. We got our red on. Let's do the tips just a little bit here. All right, the whole thing is, oh, I don't even need to lie the red down on there because I know what color it is. So I'm gonna go hit it with a blow dryer to try to dry it out as best I can. And I will be back in a minute. This part, how fun is this? Like a real hairdresser, pulling off the layers. Unfolding the foils. Look at how pretty. Ooh, the blue is gorgeous. Pull these out. And there's your fuchsia. All right, let's go blow dry it. All right, I used a hair dryer, blowed it out a little bit, used a wide tooth comb, combed it out, and look at this thing. Isn't she gorgeous? It is actually ombre. I don't know if you can see it. Let me use this camera. The purple, all the way up to the red. And that's just from white fur. So just think of how many fun things you could do with this. You could make colorful furry costumes for cosplay. You could use this for character stuff. You could use this for puppets, puppet fur, and this works on synthetic fabrics. One thing I would recommend is not to put it on your fabric, or on your puppet, I should say, on your puppet, or try to dye it on your puppet. I would try to dye it off of the puppet and then give it at least 24 hours to fully dry. This is not totally dry, which is why now I'm going to work tomorrow looking like I murdered somebody. So yeah, just make sure it dries completely and you have a great way to dye fur whichever color you want. Have fun with it. Post your pictures in the comments if you make something cool. I will post the Amazon link and we will see you later, puppet friends. Mwah!